Political parties, particularly the official opposition, will listen critically when the Eastern Cape Premier Phumulo Masualle delivers his State of the Province address later today. It will be the first since 1994 that the governing ANC is not in charge of the province's economic hub, which is the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. The political parties say they expect empty rhetoric from a premier preoccupied with his political future. Masualle will be challenged for the position of provincial chairperson at the ANC's elective conference that will take place later in June.
The provincial government taking stock of its successes and failures and putting its plans on the table. The opposition parties hope that one of those plans will be fixing the education department.
We are not expecting that much from him. Judging from the challenges that his office and he himself is faced with the province, because he's leading an executive that it seems as if like he does not have authority over it, because when you look at the executive, it seems as if he does as he pleases.
Last year we have returned $500 million for infrastructure, and yet we've got schools that are made of mud, and yet the Premier hasn't spoken to that issue as to say whether indeed that money is coming back or whether are we going to be addressing that issue.
What the Democratic Alliance expects is for the Premier to spell out key game changers that are going to put this province on the high road to prosperity. And one of those key game changers is making our education system work.
The provincial ANC had its Lekgotla just 2 weeks ago. Some of the party's senior leaders, including Secretary General Gwede Mandashe, attended and gave input.
We expect the Premier's input to the State of the Province address to actually encapsulate decisions that have been actually taken in the Lekgotla, but also neatly dovetail to the broader vision of the province. How are we intending to take this province to a higher pedestal? Issues that have been raised, issues of socio-economic development, key projects which we believe are catalysts.
Traditional and religious leaders and the public at large will attend the address. When the Premier of the Eastern Cape is done with his State of the Province address on Friday, members of this legislature will have a weekend to mull over it. And unto this House, they shall return next week to further debate it, all with the intention of improving governance in the Eastern Cape. Unatipingwase, SABC News, Bisho.
And for more on what to expect later when the Premier delivers the State of the Province address, we cross live to our reporter who is in Bisho in the Eastern Cape, Ubusisiwe Jemsana. Molo Ubusisiwe.
Molo Palesa.
Busisiwe, you are with Suki Swakocha, the Public Service Accountability Monitor. Talk to us about what are we likely to expect. Like I was saying earlier on that this would be Premier Masualle's first State of the Province address since 1994, that the governing ANC is not charged of the province's main economic hub.
Indeed, Palisa, Premier Phumulo Masualle is expected to table how he plans to drive the economy of the province around. Earlier, he held various meetings with stakeholders, especially in the business fraternity, to look at ways on how to turn around the economy, how to partner with the private sector. He mentioned that supporting small businesses will be key in making sure that he creates a platform where people are able to create jobs for themselves. But speaking of that, Palisa, infrastructure will be key in making sure that he deals with that first. Also, the factories that have been abandoned, that include the one in Dimbaza that the government has been promising to revive to make sure that it creates employment, are things that are expected to come out of his speech. More so, education, the state of education in the province has been receiving a lot of attention, has been being scrutinized as the province continues to perform below, at the bottom of the ladder when it comes to metric results. How he sees that they will do that, the 3-year plan that they've been talking about, if we're moving forward or moving backwards, it's something that the people of the province are expecting. Indeed, he will receive undivided attention when the people are expecting to pave a way forward in terms of unemployment, youth unemployment, infrastructure, and all these things that I've mentioned. But Palisa, I have Zuki Swakoda, as you mentioned, who is from the Public Service Accountability Monitor, to take us through on their expectations of the Premier's speech. Mekota, thank you so much for your time. Infrastructure, unemployment, education. What are your expectations of the speech from the Premier?
Thanks for the opportunity, Busisiwe, for having this conversation. I think you rightly point out the issue of education and the fact that the entire province will be looking to the to really highlight what the issues around education are, and why we've had these recurring problems. So the shortcomings in delivery of school infrastructure is possibly the biggest problem that that the province is experiencing, and the continued conditions under which learners have to learn. I think unemployment is also a significant issue in our province, and it'll continue to be if we don't see more resolute addressing of these issues, particularly in the context of education. The recent Stats SA report showed that the direct link between those who've received adequate education and those who haven't, and that youth unemployment is often greater amongst those who don't have a higher education or don't have qualifications. So that's a big concern for us, given the quality of education in our province. And so we really look forward to seeing what the MEC, or what the Premier rather, is going to say in relation to all of those areas.
And let us zoom into education, which seems to be a major challenge in the province. The Premier and the MEC have been talking about a 3-year plan. Do you see that the 3-year plan is working? Are there any improvements? Where do we stand?
Yeah, I think to take a bit of a back step in relation to the education context, I think many organisations in our province, civil society organisations, are quite concerned about the slow progress in delivering on those plans. We're also very concerned about the number of interventions that have come about in order to make sure that the plans come through, the implementation of infrastructure plans. So by and large, it's very concerning that what is targeted year on year often is not met. Those targets are not met, whether it's the number of schools and classrooms being built, or issues of water and sanitation and ablution facilities in schools. So in retrospect and looking forward, we are greatly concerned about the slow progress on delivery. We're also concerned about the number of contractors, for example, that fall by the wayside and projects are delayed. So I think if we do look back, we do see that there's been many years in terms of poor delivery and delays in the progress or the progress of infrastructure delivery, specifically in education. So I think there has been some progress in terms of delivery of certain schools in certain areas, but we do continue to see many projects failing or many projects being delayed, and a lack of accountability for those projects that do fail or those projects that are delayed for years on end.
I was going to ask you what should be done next. I see that you're saying that accountability will be key in making sure that targets. Zuki, thank you so much for your time. That was Zuki Swakoda from the Public Service Accountability Monitor, saying that more needs to be done to make sure that departments account for the lack of delivery. They must account for the things that are happening and the inability to meet targets that are set. We will be hearing the Premier delivering his speech, taking notes and seeing what is going to be done and what new will be on those plans. But for now, it is back to you in studio, Palisa.